What's up, Internet? For some, magic is the thing that really separates fantasy and gives it its intrigue. So today, let's dive into the core assumption that a world is magical and see what we can do to develop it further. The first chapter of the DMG sets out to look at big picture items, and then turns to looking at each of those pieces a little bit further. However, the section Magic in Your World takes place after mapping, settlements, and factions. This seems a little strange to me, as I think magic is a huge part of a fantasy world and could really influence those other options. So this is the next step we are going to take in our world creation process, move it up in the line, and visit those other items later. Magic, life-saving spells of restoration, destructive balls of fire. A world with magic creates a sense of endless possibility. To guide your creative thought, the DMG asks the following 9 questions, some of which will help answer others, and I will answer them along the way for the world that I am creating. Question number 1, is magic common? In my world, magic will be uncommon. People know of its existence, but unless you know a practitioner of magic, you probably have never seen magic. Question number 2, is some magic socially unacceptable? Being uncommon, magic holds mystery and can be truly fascinating, transmuting some materials into another or creating light from nothing. Magic can also be unbelievably terrifying, stealing one's own free will through enchantment magic or necromantic spells bringing abominations to life. Question number 3, which magic is rare? For my world, high-level magic will be a true rarity. Those who can obtain this level of mastery are sure to shape the history of the world. Question number 4, how unusual are members of each spellcasting class? For my world, while casters are uncommon themselves, there are classes which may only exist in stories. These classes are going to be artificers. Additionally, druidic circles are very recluse, and those ensorcelled by patrons becoming warlocks are very rarely pure of heart to begin with. Question number 5, how common are those who can cast high-level spells? For me personally, I've already answered this through question number 3, but it is still a very good world-building question that you may not have answered for yourself through these questions yet. Question number 6, how rare are magic items, magical locations, and creatures that have supernatural powers? For my world, following the same theme, these things are uncommon. However, some may be a little more common than your average magic user. Given the core assumptions that we laid out beforehand, the world is ancient and largely untamed, so these places of power do exist. Relics of civilizations, maybe golden ages of magic fallen, or unstable sources of pure evil power. Question number 7, at what power level do these things go from everyday to exotic? For my world, I am still tinkering with this, but I'm thinking that this is going to be somewhere in the range of 3rd to 5th level spells. Question number 8, how do authorities regulate and use magic? For my world, this will depend on location, but typically there is no regulation. However, those who use magic to take advantage or harm others will typically be brought to justice. Additionally, authorities will enlist the help of a handful of magic users if they can afford it, or if they can find magic users to accept their offer in the first place. For example, a king may have the ability to have a single magic user as a member of their personal protection staff. Question number 9, how do normal folks use magic and protect themselves from it? Again, for my world, magic is uncommon, so normal folks will not have the ability to use or protect themselves from magic, aside from the typical guards that may be stationed at a city or town if you live within a kingdom or an empire. So those are the 9 questions that the Dungeon Master's Guide brings to us for building magic into our world. However, I have one more question that I think should be asked. And that question is, has magic always been this way? Were there times in the past when magic was more or less common? Is there a time that you could see in the future where this changes as well? Having posed this question myself, I bet you can see already the direction that I'm going with how I will answer this. For my world, there will be times where golden age of magical practice was around, as well as times where magic was forgotten to the world. After answering these questions, you may have to ask yourself, how do these answers impact your world as a whole? Additionally, if you plan on using this world for a game, how does it impact that gameplay? This may be something that could be super easy to implement, but when it comes to mechanics, things will have to be inspected more closely. For my world, a world of uncommon magic, there are 3 different gameplay approaches that I have in mind and have discovered from research. The implementation, of course, will be something that will be chosen during a session 0 with my players. The first option is to use the Gritty Realism rule set from the DMG on page 267. This makes short rests 8 hours and long rests 7 days. This approach slows down the entirety of the game and grounds it. An added benefit of this approach is a maintain of balance. All of the classes will be changed in exactly the same way. The second option is to reduce the number of levels players can take in caster classes. An example could be something like full caster classes can only have a level taken every other level and will be required to multi-class into other classes for their other levels. The last option is to up the level requirement of casted spells. Cantrips now use first level spell slots, first level spells now use second level spell slots, etc. This is the most unbalanced option, will require dungeon masters to do far more tweaking, and will probably require casters to have some additional means outside of magic. Personally, I am leaning towards the second option. I think that this lends itself the most to the theme that I have developed thus far. This approach will reduce the potential overall level of magic in the world and really ground the players more into the world's lore. This is a little counterintuitive to the overall mindset and design of D&D, as players are supposed to be the exception to the rule, the heroes, and I want the players to have more of a feeling of being grounded in the world and being a part of it rather than being those who could probably control it. So what do you guys think? How are you going to implement magic into your world? And what do you think of these potential options that I have listed out for an uncommon magic world? Leave some comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video.